For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Scott Dobler. I am the SCCA National Coordinator for Street Survival. There's a few people I'd like to say good morning to, and thank you very much, mainly for putting up with me. Tim Beachuk over here. Mr. Bill Wade is over here. And my SCCA Foundation board and members, would you please stand? I know Carla is in the house. Arnie's here. Mr. Eddie is here. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So I want to say thank you. You saw the little loop playing here. We can't do what we do without you. We all put on schools. We're all here to make this experience better. The theme for this, for the 2020 SCCA convention has been one team, one experience. I sort of played off of that. Better experiences, better drivers today. We want to help you put on the best school possible today. We want to make it easy for you, so ask all the questions. That's what we're here for. If you need help, that's what we're here for. Probably at some point today, we're going to talk about the 100 school that happened this year and how everybody across BMW, PCA, SCCA saved that school. So we want to say thank you to you guys. Give a round of applause to you guys. So I think with that, Bill, you want to say a few words? Very few? All right. Mr. Bill Wade, everybody.
Good morning, everybody. I appreciate you coming out here. It's a holiday weekend. You could have been doing probably 1,000 other things. Those of you that have been here for the convention, thanks for staying another day. Those of you that came in just for this, thank you very much. Being the jet set lifestyle of coming in just for a day and turning around and leaving, that's really hard on you. I understand that. Mirroring what Scott said, we couldn't do this without you. And you guys are the leaders of those volunteers. You're going to hear about volunteers and keeping them happy. We're going to try to keep you happy. We're going to try to give you a whole lot of information that you might not have. We're going to give you some information that might be a little different than what you thought was happening. Hopefully you've got questions that you'll ask us. I'm not saying we got all the answers. We got a lot of answers. We've been doing this for a long, long time. The collective, heritage in this room is really, really deep. If we don't have the answer, we'll make an answer. Not make it up, but we'll make an answer. Hopefully we can give it to you before we leave, but if not, we're going to really work on follow-up and get you what you need. 108 last year, awesome, the biggest year we've ever had. What are we doing for 2020? And that wasn't scripted, but I knew that's what she'd do. So, Janie's shooting for 120. That's a nice round number. Let's do that. Matt Edmonds is not here this morning. John's taken his place, but I think he would be very happy with that number as well. So at that, I'll quit talking because I said I wasn't going to say much, and I've already screwed that up. So I'm going to hand this back to Scott.
So I'm going to introduce this gentleman. First time I met this man, he was literally taking the job for a week. He was gracious enough to meet with me and Tim and Bill. I had a 2-hour meeting before they came in. We talked 30 minutes about car stuff, and the rest of it was about street survival, families, that kind of stuff. Since then, he has been very passionate and following up and communicating with me, and it means a lot that he got up this morning and rolled in and said good morning to you guys. I'd like to introduce the President and CEO of SCCA, Mr. Mike Cobb.
With just a early morning this morning. Number one, thank you for being here and supporting this program. As you guys know, this was the theme for the convention, and I had some comments around kind of carrying that.
Okay, I'm sorry. Usually I talk loud enough where I don't need it. Kind of carrying that forward through the TireX Street Survival Program. But I have to say, I wasn't aware of better experiences, better drivers, and I like that more. So Scott, you can go to the next one. We did this little exercise in the general session I don't know what day it is. It's Sunday, so it must have been Friday morning. So two things. One, I want to let you know that I do know how to spell. Kevin was joking with me this morning. I can't spell SCCA. I actually can. I just did. So for everybody, there is a P in impact, and it's up there. But I thought this was portable to this conversation, to this session this morning, because I would tell you that the one thing that we collectively can do to impact the SCCA experience, and it's much bigger than the SCCA experience, is the Tire Rack Street Survival Program. So thank you for doing it. Thank you for being here. Can you go one more, Scott? Thanks. I'm not immersed in the data like you guys are, but I do know that traffic accidents are the leading cause of death for teenagers 15 to 20. I also have read that when there's passengers in their car, their risk rate doubles, whether that's because they're unable to estimate dangers, whether they're not experienced, whether they're distracted by technology, whatever that is. So anything we can do to help improve that, it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing for youth. It's the right thing to do for families across America. It's the right thing to do for your club. It's just the right thing to do. And, we are a club. We are a nonprofit, and giving back into the community, sowing seed back into the community is part of our charter. So it's the right thing to do. This beautiful little girl, just by the grace of God, happens to be my daughter. Her name is Riley Christine Cobb. This is actually in Southlake, Texas, at Dragon Stadium, which is where they hold the Tire Rack Street Survival Program. Carla advised me, just like Kevin was advising me on the use of spell check this morning, Carla advised me that when I was talking about participating, one of my goals is to participate in every program that we have this year. I omitted Tire Rack Street Survival. So forgive me, sometimes when I'm up on stage and going fast, I forget things. So I did forget that. I will commit that I have been to one, but I haven't coached one. I'm not qualified as a coach. I'm not going to coach this one because I've tried that already. It didn't work out real well. Fortunately, the Texas region has some great coaches, and she likes them more than she likes me. So she's going to be at the Tire Rack Street Survival course in this spring, and we're all going to be safer for it. So I just want to thank you guys for doing what you do, for sowing seed into the youth of America. This is a great thing that you do, and we appreciate it. We support you. And if there's anything I can ever do to help be a bigger support behind this, just ask. Thank you very much.
So, my understanding, and the reason why we get to do this is because of the support from Tire Rack. It was my understanding, the story is, Matt was at a family dinner or breakfast or something, a family gathering. And his uncle had newspaper about a young father-in-law, slid Matt a newspaper article about a young lady dying there in South Bend. And he looked at Matt and said, "You have the power to change this, right?" And that's how Matt got involved with Street Survival. With that, Matt's not here. I'm going to bring up John Rassetter up here, and he's going to speak for Tire Rack. So if we could give him a big round of applause, please. So, a little trivia. John, you also helped with some of the original curriculum and stuff as well, right?
Yes.
All right. There it is. How about that? We have VIP in the house. Thank you, John.
Thank you very much. I had the good fortune to spend 21 years working full-time for Tire Rack in South Bend. When I retired from my full-time work, I decided to move to Atlanta because it didn't snow as much, which was probably a good move along the way. Street Survival became important to Tire Rack, and in addition to passing the newspaper article along, I'll admit that there were some selfish elements built into Tire Rack involving in Street Survival. And they were that they had a second generation of teenagers getting their licenses, and the family wanted to make sure they were helped as well. We had the good fortune to have a test track and just a few extra things around to help them out. But when you think about it, what is the one riskiest task that a parent is going to be faced with as their teenagers grow up. It's probably going to be the first time they throw them the keys to the family car, because they are going to expose that youngster to a series of complications and risks that they've never had before. And when we think about it, a tire rack street survival student will drive approximately 1 million miles in their lifetime. However, there are no miles that are more important than those few miles they put on at a tire rack street survival program, because it gives us the chance to better prepare them for all of the miles to follow. You help the students discover their vehicle's capabilities and to control them. You help the students anticipate the actions of other drivers and how to make better decisions when they're faced with challenging situations. You help make the next generation of drivers better and safer. So whether you promote schools, register students, chase cones, or are an in-car or classroom coach, you got to remember there's nothing more rewarding than knowing you are saving lives every day. Now, part of this, I want you to do a little exercise with me. On each table, I know there's pads of paper, and I'd like everyone to get a pad or a sheet of paper, tear it off, get out a pencil and or a pen, and join me in a little exercise. Okay, the first part of this two-part exercise is to ask you to do something that you're familiar with, something that's comfortable, something that you're quite competent at doing. So with the South Point logo facing up, I would like to ask you to sign your name 5 times in a row, one underneath another, just like you were endorsing a check. Okay? When you're done, I want you to raise your hand so I know that you've completed the first half of the task. Ready, set, go. Got some hands coming up. By the way, with the last name of Rassetter, I was never quick at this one. More hands coming up. Okay, invert the page so that your previous signatures are upside down. Second half of the exercise. It is going to require 1/2 the physical effort that you've just done. And I want to see if you can complete it in half the time. Okay, second exercise. Sign your name 5 times in a row. But since I promised only half as much work, sign only every other letter of your name. Ready, set, go. Funny, the hands usually come up slower on this one. More hands coming up. We're going along. All right. What did you just experience? The reality is I gave you a task that you're infinitely familiar with the first time. Something you do every day. For that matter, I don't know if my autograph's going to be worth a plug nickel someday because I've signed so many things in my life. The second part of the task is a little bit more of a challenge. Lots of the same elements, but it is half the physical effort, but twice the mental effort. The first time you signed it, it's a combination of fun, humorous, embarrassing, frustrating. But then you sign it the second time and it's a little faster. And you sign it the third time and it's a little faster. And by the fourth time you realize all I got to do is copy the letters that are up above and I can breeze through the rest of this. Well, this is one of the realities of how we learn. We learn through repetition. But the first time we try a new activity, we have to be prepared to have that combination of frustration and humor, because it's not going to go as well as we hoped. But when we have the good fortune of the second time and third time and fourth time to do it again and again and to learn from the wisdom of other people's experience, our life becomes richer and we become more adept at doing it. You know, I can think of a lot of people in my life. I started my career in a little tire store in Wauwatosa, Wisconsin. And in the heartland of America, they weren't imported cars, they were foreign cars. You know, it's just like, this wasn't just an import. And the technician that worked with me was familiar with putting in shock absorbers. And all of a sudden, along came this Datsun that needed struts in the front. And it was completely different. One of my friends had a Datsun 240Z, which is complementary by having struts all of the way around. So on a slow February day, we decided we were going to change the struts in Rick's Datsun. Put it back on the alignment rack, get it done. Now that day, with a workshop manual and both of us busting knuckles, it actually took us about 7 hours to get the job done, to get the shocks in and get the alignment done. But the reality was, compliments of Wisconsin salting its roads, lots of the nuts and bolts were a little bit rusted. It was the first time we ever did it. Well, the last time when I was back in Milwaukee, I talked to Bob, who shared that with me, who made his living out of taking care of cars. And I asked him, you know, the first time you did Rick's car, it took us all day. But consider the fact that as imported cars became more of our daily bread and butter, and all of a sudden General Motors and Ford cars had struts, if you hadn't learned that then, you would have been unsuccessful. If you said, I'm never going to change the strut, no way, you never would have been successful afterward. So it was Bob's conviction to do it the first time and learn from that experience. And as I have gone back and visit him, it's, how many could you do a day? Well, now he could probably do 3 cars a day, doing the 4 struts all the way around. So that first time you try it, accept the fact that you're not going to be perfect at it, that you're going to have to learn from that experience, but over the long run, you'll go along, you'll learn and continue going along. Now, the next thing I want you to do is take that piece of paper and turn it over. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to write down one thing, one question, one concern, one topic that you want to have covered today in the meeting. And I want you to have this as a reminder to you during the day to see whether or not this meeting and summit has checked that off. So take 30 seconds, write down just one thing that you want to see done today. And once you've completed that, pass them to the center aisle and Scott will pick them up. Well, on behalf of Tire Rack, I want to let you know that it's great to be here among the heroes of Tire Rack street survival. And on behalf of the entire Tire Rack team, thank you for sharing your knowledge, your passion, and being here today. And thank you for your continuing involvement to provide a consistent program to help the young drivers of America reach their 1,000,000 miles. Thank you all.
Thank you, John. All right, while I'm finishing collecting stuff up, we got a few minutes here before we get started. We're going to go ahead and talk about, just because I want to show you guys how things happen, we're going to talk about saving the 100th school because we got a few minutes. 3 days before the school, I get a phone call from a very exhausted SCCA member. She was a person that I relied on for helping other people. She was worn out. She had a school of 15 people, and she puts a lot of heart and soul into her schools. And she wanted to cancel the school. She hadn't ordered her supplies. Her work, professional, ramped way up. She was working 60 hours a day on top of trying to do SCCA duties and her street survival. And she wanted to cancel the school. And I just said, it's not a 7-kid school. There's 15. I can't cancel the school. We played out every scenario that we could, but because she was so passionate about the program, she goes, I had JR, I had already reached out to him. Yeah, we'll come and help. Rich Dunbar, we'll come and help. Raphael from Washington, D.C., I'll fly in and teach. She was so passionate and she put so much time into it that we ended up flying all of those in and a couple of BMW. It ended up being a couple of PCA people, 2 or 3 SCCA regions, and a couple of BMW chapters all came together to do the school for her. We ended up with 20 students. All 3 networks covered the school. We saved the site for the region. She had worked 2 years getting this site, and we ended up working through that with the site owner, saving the site for them, and we saved 20 lives. We did that in 2.5 days. Got supplies to them, got their certificates to them. JR drove his truck up full of cones. The point is, don't be afraid to ask. If you need help, we all are here to help you. If you're new and considering, worried about, oh my gosh, ask. That's what today is all about. And that's how we saved the 100 school. I didn't even know it was 100 school, to be honest. I just knew, oh gosh, we got to save it. So a big round of applause to JR, to Rich, and all of the BMW chapters that came together. I mean, she was in tears. She was just completely worn out. And we banded together to save the school. Tim was very helpful. Every 15 minutes, I was on the phone with him. He's going, God, Scott, I'm tired of talking to you. Jeff Jacobs, Philly Region RE called and goes, I'm a little shaky about this. I don't know if we can do this. I'm like, no, we're going to do this. And we did it. I think that did you bring like supplies from your previous schools over? We shipped some. I mean, we FedEx stuff everywhere. So I really want to say thank you, JR. And he's truly passionate about the program, and so it's awesome. So if you are ever stuck or you have any concerns, there is mentors and there is a support system for you. We are here, and that's what we want. I have taught a school for one young lady. I was going to cancel the school. She called me up. She goes, I backed my car in a rainy curve on the interstate at 65 miles an hour. I'm scared to drive. We did for her. We did an entire program for her. So we saved one life that day. We saved 20 for the 100 school this past year. So feel free to ask, if not today, anytime, anything. You need a teacher, I'll come and teach for you. If not, Bill will come and teach for you. All right? So let's take a break, stretch our legs. I know it's only 9 o'clock. Our next session is supposed to start at 9:30. I don't know how we're 30 minutes ahead of schedule, but so if you didn't get any of the swag stuff, go ahead and get that up. And we'll get rolling here in probably about 15 minutes or so.